Alright, morning everybody. Alright, let's get going. Alright, US stocks rose as the S&P recorded its third consecutive positive close, up quite an impressive 17 and a quarter points, which was actually quite impressive considering how badly Europe had traded for pretty much the whole day yesterday. They are off this morning though, off 10 points this morning, so expecting possibly a slightly lower close, slightly lower open. Stock-specific news, we had Hasbro rallying strongly after reporting an earnings beat, while Sears surged more than 20% higher after announcing plans to raise capital. On the downside, we had IBM, which sank after abandoning its earnings forecast for 2015. In Asia, uh, pretty much down right across the board except for Aussie, which was flat. China GDP came in slightly better than expected at 7.3% year on year, as opposed to 7.2% expected. They did have some other data points which we'll go through in a minute. Japan was the worst performer, down I think 2% now, with some of the big caps, Fast Retailing and SoftBank both suffering there. Then Sydney pretty much flat, as we said, following the release of the Reserve Bank minutes. Qantas saw strong gains after announcing it would offer more seats on its A330 aircraft. Chart of interest today is crude oil demand has started to flatten. We've seen over the last month how the oil price has gotten pretty much decimated. I think this chart only goes up to September, so it'll be interesting to see how it's actually changed over the last month. I would imagine it's remained flat or become lower. But yeah, I mean we can see how it topped out there in September, flattened, and the oil prices really suffered as a result. Corporate action today, we've got Billy's first quarter sales release, and then we've got some big caps out of the States releasing earnings. We've got Coca-Cola, McDonald's, and Yahoo, so keep an eye out for that. That could indicate the mood for the US session. All right, so the key factors today, as we said, we had some Chinese data. Retail sales year on year came in slightly lower than expected, at 11.6%. Industrial production beat 8% as opposed to 7.5%, and Chinese GDP year on year slightly better, 7.3% as opposed to 7.2%. Then we had Japanese All Industry Activity Index, which came out slightly better than expected. And then later at 4 o'clock we've got existing home sales out of the US. All right, let's get to the charts. Right, the first one I'm going to show is Aspen. I think whenever we've had a big pullback or massive volatility, you want to really aim for stocks that have shown a lot of strength through those times. And I think probably the winner has been Aspen, been unbelievably strong. You can see, we've barely only broke at the worst part of this pullback, only barely broke the 20-day moving average, and then quickly regained it and has pushed higher. The previous high here at the beginning of October was 352. I think if we take out 352 on a closing basis, we could be off to the races again in Aspen. It might take a few days or a week to consolidate, but looks like we could be pushing higher in Aspen. So let's keep an eye out for that one. Next one I want to show is Discovery. Discovery's also had a nice pullback from the low. It found support there on the 200-day moving average and is moving higher. If we move this down to an hourly or a 30-minute chart, you can see we've hold on one sec. All right, so there we formed a little bit of an ugly inverse head and shoulders, and I would say we've actually sort of consolidating right on the neckline. So let's look for the next point, which would be at 95.60. If we can break through 95.60 on an hourly or a 30-minute basis, and we can close above that level, I would say that's a great level to enter for the next push higher. And I think the next push higher could be a pretty decent move based on the height of this little consolidation. If we look at a first target from sort of could be about $5, which would push us close to 100 Rand again. So keep an eye out for Discovery. I think it's definitely one to watch if we can get above that level. All right, next one I wanted to show is Impalas. Impalas, unfortunately, is not looking that great. So I know some of the guys are long of it, hoping for a bounce, but it's just really, really struggling. Yesterday we put in another closing low, closed at around 82 Rand. Um, so, you know, based on the height of this consolidation, we've got about, let's call it 90 to 84, about $6 of downside from 84. So next target I would say on Impalas is around 78. Obviously, if we can bounce and retake 84, there could be a hope for it yet. But at the moment, not looking good, and the 78 target is still on the cards in Impalas. Right, Mutual. Mutual's also put in this. If we zoom in a little bit, put in this pin bar and a nice big up day, recovery day on Friday. Yesterday it actually traded well at the beginning of the day, but you know the pressure out of Europe was just too much and it ended up closing below 31 again. If we knock this down to a 30-minute chart again, um, we can actually see a very bullish chart here, or potentially bullish, should I say. Um, you know let's get us across here. We've got I would say I'd peg the level at around 31.20ish or 31.15 possibly. We had that there. You can see that false break beginning of yesterday before we pulled back. If we can reclaim that level 31.20, there I would say we could get a nice push higher again. The height being approximately $1.75 to start off with, so that could push us close to close to $33 if we get that target. So keep an eye on Mutual. If we can get some strength out of Mutual above 31 and a quarter or 31.15 more or less, we could have a nice move up there, but not looking good on the open. You know, markets under pressure here. And then the last one I wanted to show was SA Breweries. Actually quite a similar pattern. Uh, very decisive level here at 580. It broke that level and has been consolidating over the last couple of sessions. The height being 587. If we can get up there and close on a 30-minute or an hourly basis above 587, I would say that we could move up in SA Breweries. You can see how well they traded yesterday. It just moved sideways. They didn't come off with Europe being under so much pressure. Yeah, so keep an eye out on that on SA Breweries. We could get a little more upside there if we can hold today. And that's all for today, guys. Good luck.